No problem. Yeah, it's great.
Second year going in, just how far ahead do you feel than you were at this point last year?
Significantly. I think we're so far ahead from last year. We got 4, 5, 6 guys that were on the team last year that can help disseminate information from one guy to the next. They know terminology, they know what the expectation is, they know what the drills are. So, I mean, with that alone, we're so far ahead. And then I think from just a maturity standpoint, we had one guy on our whole team last year that had ever been a college basketball starter, and that was Hayden Brown. We got 7 this year. So, in those 2 categories alone, aside from any differences in skill set or length or anything like that, I think we're significantly ahead of where we were a year ago.
This trip, in terms of what you can already do in the summer, do the new NCAA rules, this new trip, how much enhancement do you get in terms of practice time and obviously the 2 games?
Yeah, so when you have every 4 years, you can go on these foreign tours and you get 10 practices that go along with that. So today was one of those. So typically in the summer, you get 4 hours of basketball and then 4 hours of strength and conditioning. And then that ramps up in these practices. We can treat them like regular practices. So I think it's invaluable, the experience that the guys get, and just in terms of what real practice is going to look like. The workouts are just different than a real practice, and we had some real practices. I turned my volume up a little bit more in these practices, so it's good for the guys just to get a little bit of that in the summer anyway.
And I guess also it's invaluable when it comes to team bonding on a trip like this.
To me personally, there are a lot of things that go along with a trip like this. 90% of it involves team bonding, in my own personal estimate. I hope we play well. I hope we play well for their sake, so they'll feel good about themselves. To me, I mean, don't let this cat out of the bag, but I want to go down there and spend time with each other, and the travel of it, and the trip, and different roommates. It's the first time they'll be exposed to different roommates, and they'll be going down water slides and doing some snorkeling, I imagine, or whatever they're going to do. We're going to enjoy ourselves. I've been here working hard for 8 weeks, so part of it is that. Obviously, there's a big thing about the basketball is a huge part of it, but the biggest part to me is the growth that happens amongst teammates while you're on a trip like this.
As you kind of take stock before the trip, what have you liked about this group that you've seen over the summer? What are some things that, as you kind of get back into it, or things that you'd like to see improve?
Basically, our competitiveness is one thing that I like, and really that's all it stands out that we're a significantly more competitive group, and therefore when I make challenges, people try to respond to those challenges based on just their competitive spirit, not a rule that we have in defensively, because I try to keep it simple in the summer also. We don't go through every single thing, but I think the biggest thing is just our competitive spirit, and then we got a lot of room for growth in a lot of areas. So I haven't really even evaluated that, but I have been really happy with our competitive spirit and how we communicate with each other.
I know last year you said you didn't have the personnel to necessarily do all the things that you like to do on the court. Do you feel like it's closer with this group assembled to be able to play the style of basketball that you would like to play?
Yeah, significantly closer to what I like. We're much more skilled, I think, from top to bottom. We're doing some different offensive things. A lot of read and react type situations that just doesn't mean guys are better or worse players, but they're just in their DNA as a basketball player. I think we're a little more suited to do that based on our skill sets and even where some of these guys have come from. BJ Mack came here from Wofford, and some of the stuff that they did there was similar to some of the things that I want to do offensively. So I think just in our guys' DNAs as players, we're suited a lot more to play the way that I want to play offensively.
Mom, when you talk about the way you want to play, how would you describe it? Like a term like tempo or run through the arcs or through the big man? Just how would you describe it?
Space. It sounds cool to say space and pace, but I do value both of those things. And to me, pace is more in the half court, to be honest with you. It's not the pace at which we run from rebounding it down to score and get a shot in the first 6 seconds. I hope we can do that, but teams are good in this league. I don't know that you do that a whole lot, but the pace with which you cut, the pace with which you go to screen, the pace with which you attack the rim, I think that's pace to me. And so I want to space the floor. I like to have skilled guys in most positions. Skilled doesn't always mean you can shoot. It doesn't mean we'll have 5 guys that can shoot the 3 at all times out there. There will be sometimes we do have 5 guys that shoot the 3. There'll be others that we don't, but they'll be skilled in that they feel comfortable stepping off on the perimeter, handling it, and making a decision or making a pass. That's skill. to me. So that's the way I want to play. I like to do a lot of unscripted things. I like small, quick hitters versus plays that are really long and tell a long story. Most of our plays are for situations and not for shots, and so I want guys just to be able to play free.
Anyone in terms of injury-wise that's going to be limited or not play when you go down there?
Not really. I think everybody's in a pretty good spot from a health standpoint right now. So I'm just excited that my anticipation will be that every player will have some sort of story that involves basketball as we go down there. Everybody will get into the games, unless for whatever reason they don't want to. But Bo Ryan is in the Hall of Fame, and he's probably forgotten more about basketball than maybe I'll ever know. But I remember we played Carrollton College or university, whatever it's called, in Canada one year, and they beat us. And this was a team that went to the national championship game, and they were good, and they beat us. And then the next 2 games that we played there, the starters got a lot of minutes in those games. And so I'm really interested in having everybody be a part of this experience. Aside from the stories that they'll have on the beach and in the water slides, I want them all to have a basketball story as well. So I'll be committed to trying to get everybody to have some significant minutes in the games.
Of your returning guys, anybody really stand out in your mind who's really stepped it up from what you saw the last time we saw him play?
There's been a lot of improvement. It's so early for me to say anything, but I think all the guys that are back are significantly better in one way or another. Some of Michi's decision making has improved. Zach's had a couple days where he's been really good. Zach Davis, Benjamin Bozeman for Docs, he's been the catalyst on that second group that he's been on in terms of getting offense moving. And Jacoby Wright has had, again, a couple of weeks, but he's really, really, really good. He's probably one of the most improved guys. I think you saw it last year during the season. And then even from the end of the season to now, he's continued to be on the same trajectory, which is moving in the right direction and upwards. So I think just generally we've had a lot of improvement. Some of it's just comfortability with who they are, with our system and where they stand. And so because of that, they get out there and they just play.
With a guy like Ebo, what's the plan for him going down to the Bahamas, and how do you balance trying to get him game reps, get some of that rust off with not rushing him back from the day?
Yeah, he hasn't done a lot of live stuff with us. It's a work in progress. He had a significant injury. The Achilles is one of the most time-intensive injuries to come back, and probably one of the most least reliable injuries to recover from in terms of predicting when that will happen. And so every day I'm just waiting for the day that he gets out there. It's going to be an emotional moment for me. The first time he puts shoes on and steps out there in a game. He's an incredible young man. He loves the game of basketball like most kids don't. It's why he's in this country. He could have gotten a really good education in a lot of places. He came here for basketball, so I'll really be looking forward to the day that he steps on the court. So it's still a work in progress. He's not there yet, but he's getting better every day.
I know it's still very early, but have you identified the identity for this team, or does a trip like this help you learn it, identify it, or maybe solidify it in some ways?
Yeah, a big part of it's this trip. When you talk about leadership qualities of individuals, a lot of that happens on stuff like this. Team identity, which is what you asked about, some of that will happen on this. I know what I want our identity to be, but ultimately it'll be what they do will determine what our identity is. And so for me, our identity has to start on the defensive end. It just has to. There's a way in my blueprint that winning happens very consistently, and it involves good defense. And I've talked about competition and competing a lot of times, and I think what guides you is not only your principles. Being organized is very important on the defensive end, but will is more important than anything, and determination. And so we're still trying to develop that. And a lot of today in this game, guys get picked in college most times. 99% of guys get picked to come to a university or recruited to come to a university because of what they do on the offensive end, right? You don't normally take a guy, if you have a guy that's a 7-footer that blocks shots or an incredible on-the-ball defender, but the vast majority of guys, hey, he shoots really well, he passes well, he can score in the post. This guy's really good at creating for others. He's really good in the ball screen. That's what you take kids for. So then you get them here, and I'm going to say the words, we got to play defense or we're not going to win. And they know they came here for offense, right? So again, I'm trying to figure out if I'm a very offensive-minded defensive guy or if I'm a really defensive-minded offensive guy. But I know for us, I think it's got to go to the defensive end. We have to be at minimum pretty darn good on the defensive end.
Coach, what have you told the guys about the difference between the international game, playing international